We were recently asked an excellent question, and that was, how do I find a good therapist? And I think that's a fabulous question, and perhaps I can give some pointers as to what to do. I'd say the number one thing is, don't be afraid to ask questions of your therapist or potential therapist. The first question I would ask is, how many hours of individual personal one-to-one therapy have they been in themselves? Because in some countries, to be a psychotherapist, from what I understand, you don't have to do much at all. I think in the UK, to be a psychologist, you only need something like 50 hours. In my training, we had to do a minimum of 200 hours. And the thing is that personal one-to-one therapy is very different to working as a therapist or a psychologist, because you're not growing your own personal awareness when you're working clinically. And I remember once when I ran a company employing therapists, one of the therapists, she said that she had 10,000 hours of clinical experience, which is quite a lot. However, she'd done 0 hours of one-to-one individual therapy. And I said that, well, how can you be self-aware when you actually haven't been in therapy yourself? The actual one thing that you're doing, you haven't experienced yourself. So I think that's the first thing I would say. Question. Also ask about maybe the background of the therapist. If you're doing relationship coaching, couples counselling, ask them of their own track record of holding down relationships. I mean, would you want to go and work with somebody who doesn't have a great track record? Doesn't mean to say if they're not in a relationship, they still might not be a good therapist, because they might have had to have learned through the school of knocks. Other things, I think also other aspects that are really important is that therapy is very relational. And one of the things I heard is that all trauma is relational and all healing is relational. And therefore, your relationship with a therapist is going to be crucial. So go and meet them. How do you feel? Do you feel that you can trust this person? Do you like them? Do you feel that you could be fully honest and open with time to that person? Because a therapist gets to know you more intimately than anybody else on this planet. And it's a real privilege to be a therapist, to be that keeper of secrets, as my own therapist once said to me. She said, David, as therapists, we are keepers of secrets, and I think that's very true. So can I trust this person with my most personal, intimate stuff? So there's just a few pointers. It was a great question. I'd love to hear what you think. Add your comments as to what you think is important in finding a good therapist. If you're a therapist yourself, I'd like to hear as well what you think. Now, check out our TikToks and other videos on all things relational and therapy.